Hey, I'm Mark Wilson. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to go over how to cook the best way to cook a filet mignon. The price point tends to drive up the pucker factor. Kind of like that one time that my friends and I were driving a little bit too fast down an old country road and didn't see the bridge is out sign until it was too late to adjust. So one of those things, like in any other aspect of life, you just need to sometimes put your foot into it and go a little harder to get over things. But when it comes to this, I'm going to show you the best and most consistent way to have success with it. The first one of these I made, I feel like the hockey puck probably had more give to it than what I did. But I've got it down now, and I'm going to share the basic, simple steps with you in its most simplistic form. So if you follow the process, it's almost impossible to mess this part up. So while I do love cooking outdoors with wood, this is the best way to cook it, is indoors for this cut of meat. And so we're going to get to it. I'm going to show you step by step what to do. A few things. One, when you get started for this, preheat your oven to 450. You want that nice and warm for us. The other thing is you want to get your steak out at least 30 to 45 minutes before you start cooking it, because we're going to cook these in a cast iron skillet, and we're going to sear them in there. But the last thing you ever want to do is take a cold piece of meat and then put it into a hot skillet, because it's going to bring down the temperature of your skillet. And the reason we're going to cook it this way is to get that delicious crust we all love. Well, I've never met anybody who didn't love one, but I'm sure somebody's out there. The crust on your filet, this is basically going to make it as perfect as we can get it. So once you've got it set out and you're ready to start cooking it and seasoning it, you want to pat it dry and get all the excess moisture off of there. I just use nice paper towels, and then get the other side. Basically, that'll help the salt and pepper we're going to put onto it adhere to it. And that's all we're going to use for this. I know a couple other videos made steaks, marinade, and different seasonings, or whatever steak seasoning you feel like using. Not with this. It's salt and pepper. And that's pretty much the extent, because that's all you should need, especially when you have one that has like nice marbling like this. And that's all we're going with. So we're going to take the salt and pepper. We're going to generously put it on there and cover it. And you want to use quite a bit of it. Be very generous with this, because it's a rather thick cut. And the same applies to any thick cut of meat that you're going to use. Be liberal with it, because when you slice it up, you're going to want to taste that when you slice it. The chunks, yeah, it'll all work out. And also, don't forget, you want to get the sides as well. So however you like to season it, however you pat it in there really well. Just don't forget the sides. You want to get all aspects of this thing. So be very liberal with what you're putting into it. And the best kind of salt and pepper to use is coarse. Definitely coarse. That helps with the crust. If it's too fine, you won't have the same level of consistency in your crust. And just doing it with the coarse stuff makes a huge difference. And then feel free to do a comparison. Shoot me a message and tell me I'm wrong. Get this other side. Just shape it up. There we have it. Grab some more seasoning, put it on there wherever you want to. So at this point in time, we're going to take our skillet, we're going to get it going over high heat for 5 minutes. You can use stainless steel, you can use cast iron, you can't use nonstick, or at least not any nonstick that I'm aware of that you can shove in the oven. So we're going to start the searing process. So for this, we're going to take the skillet, we're going to get over high heat for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to add in canola oil, vegetable oil, anything that really has a high temperature to it. You wouldn't want to put olive oil in there because it just starts smoking way too fast and it can't handle the high temperature. So our skillet is heated up, and we're going to cover the bottom of it with our oil. Basically, we want to make sure we get most of it all covered. And then once it starts smoking, it'll simmer a little bit. You can see it shimmering there. Once it starts smoking, then we're going to add our steaks in there, cook them for 2 to 3 minutes per side. Starting to smoke, so now it's the perfect time to add in our steaks. Now this is going to go for 2 to 3 minutes. We're not going to move it, not at all. We're going to let it sit just like there until we turn it over. So now it's time to turn it over. I'm just going to do this once. See a nice crust we have on there? And then now it's time to add in our butter. What we're going to do is we're going to let that melt down. It's not going to take long, and then we're basically going to baste it. And baste it for the next 2 to 3 minutes. So we're just going to continuously baste it. Get that in there. If you had some rosemary, some different herbs you like, put in there. That would accentuate the flavors as well. So now we're going to put it in the oven. There's a cooking table down below in the description. Our goal temperature to pull this out for us, I'm making a medium, is whenever it's between 135 and 140. We've got that in there. We're going to cook it according to our temperature chart when we want to pull it, because the meat's going to continue to cook. So we want to pull it about 135, 140 internal temperature, so that'll get us right where we want to be for the steak that I like. And the chart's in the description. It's also in the cookbook of how to do that. So that's what we're going to do, and that's going to run for about 8 minutes after we put it in. And then in the meantime, what I like to do is make sure that whenever I serve food, it's not cold. And the way to do that is, if you've ever been to a restaurant, hey, the plates they tell you are very warm. That's because they're extremely warm, because they don't want your food to get cold. So normally I put this in the oven about 150, 160, 2 plates, 3 plates, however many plates to heat them up. But seeing as how the oven's at 450 now, I gotta go to my alternate route, which is the microwave. So to do this yourself, get about 2 to 3 cups of water, get them in places you're gonna have people eating, put them in the microwave, and let that run for about 3 to 4 minutes. Or if you have a lot of plates, a little bit longer than that. But you want those plates to be warm whenever you serve your food. Time to pull it. You definitely want to pull these out of here and put them on something else, because you don't want them to be cooking anymore. And they will continue to cook. And like the worst thing you could do is be impatient. You want these things to sit at least 10 minutes, allow those juices to flow back and forth. We have it. It's rested. You can see the juices have been coming out of the steak. If your steak comes out extremely dry, then you need to recheck the temperature in the oven if you follow this process. The recipe is in the description below. It's also in the cookbook that'll be linked in the description for volume 2. We're pairing this with some homemade bread, which smells divine, garlic mashed potatoes, and some Kentucky green beans. Can't wait. If you have any questions, hit me up at Cooking with Wilson without the G at Gmail, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. And I look forward to hearing from you, and let me know how this turned out for you. Always remember, there'll always be someone who doesn't see for their worth. Just make damn sure it's not you. Alright, I'll see you next time.